Welcome back to SL Chennai Speaks Out Season 2. This is our final round. It's called Third Umpire. Yes, you can go ahead.
Yes, I would like to ask Nitesh, sir, that, sir, you have spoken a lot. I mean, good points you have given.
Why are you calling him sir? Because he's your senior or what?
I mean,
that happens
just
during ragging,
respect I am giving, sir. But Mr. Nitesh, I would like to ask you that what steps you have taken. What is your contribution? Your contribution towards this ragging to eliminate ragging.
Actually, very relevant question.
You'll have to become an IPS officer and head of a committee to do that.
A very relevant question. But anything which I do so moto is not accepted. Can I take law into my own hands? Can I, as a student body, can I get all my students together? Can I take the perpetrator and hit him? Will that become lawful? No. But if the lawful authorities do the same, punish that perpetrator, then it is legally correct. What we can do is, we can, yes, take the student, take him to the police station and say, yes, this is the evidence against him, please arrest him, sir. But that's the maximum we can do.
How many times have you done that? How many times have you done that?
We have done that numerous amount of times in our college, considering the fact that we are law students, so we obviously stand up for a lot of issues and we stand up for the student community. But this type of an incentive would not be there in various other institutions where students are bold enough to stand up against such perpetrators. That is why we have various committees which are appointed. That is why we have various organizations, law enforcement agencies who stand up for those students who are not brave enough like how sir is.
All right, ma'am.
Yeah, we talk about, when the topic ragging comes, we tell only the colleges. Why don't the anti-ragging thingy starts from the school level itself? Because these days even school students face the ragging stuffs.
You're absolutely right, because there is no clear line of distinction actually. I mean, you don't say, we never assert that it happens only in colleges and not in schools. Schools are also becoming smarter and trying to indulge in ragging. So that's very correct. We have to build, I think one of our suggestions that as part of the school curriculum, there should be some part of the syllabus.
Catch the perpetrators young. Catch them young.
Human rights handbook which should be distributed to all the students in school. And any student about 12 years of age can be booked for ragging.
All right, yes.
Sir, I have a question to you, sir. We keep speaking about all this over here, but it's just paperwork, sir. I very well agree with Mr. Nitesh. It's just paperwork, sir. It is not that ragging has decreased. It is not exposed.
I never said that.
It is not exposed,
I speaking in a language.
No, sir. We speak about all the statistics and all. It is not exposed. Even a case in Ahmedabad, sir, where a person was stripped and matchsticks were lit and thrown on him. He went and complained to the college authorities. Nothing happened. He went and complained to the police station. Nothing happened. He finally had to go to the Prime Minister's office. And not everybody will go to the Prime Minister's office. Everybody cannot, sir. And you know what the punishment was? A fine of 10,000 rupees was, that was the punishment they had given. Sir, what is this, sir?
Perfect
This is
question.
not, I mean, we call India a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, two-tier, three-tier architecture, all that is okay. I mean, what is this happening, sir? The entire system is wrong, sir.
One thing which we have mastered is washing our hands off everything.
Yes, sir. Everybody washes their hands up. They direct the limelight towards somebody else.
Today are the second and third years of tomorrow. The freshers of today are the seniors of tomorrow. What prevents the seniors who are sitting and talking here to say that none of us will do anything? There is no rule, nothing. But we feel that what happened to us should not happen to our juniors tomorrow. Yes, what happens, you can all have that feeling inside you and start spreading the awareness.
The whole thing has become as daughter-in-law, mother-in-law syndrome. The daughter-in-law, moment she gets out of the clutches of the mother-in-law, she herself, when she gets a daughter-in-law, she harasses her. So this is the basic, fundamentally the problem. So the students will have to, among themselves, they have to do a lot of, I agree wholly with what you say, that there is a certain apathy, indifference to victims of ragging, which is absolutely unacceptable. And I think everybody is at fault. It's not as if even the judiciary, is too benevolent towards these persons.
Yes, ma'am.
So why do the students fear so much about, why do they hide the things? If they are ragged, they should be bold enough to say, yes,
you're a student yourself. Would you like to answer that as well?
It's like I have been, from first year I'm going to the second year. It's
have you
like
been ragged, ma'am?
No. If yes, then I would certainly revolt against it. Because if something is humiliating us, if something is wrong, so why don't we take the initiative? Why do we hide it inside?
I will answer your question on that. It's basically in our society as of such itself. Even just for an example, if there is an accident victim, there will be 100 people on the road, but not one person will go. Why? Because facing torture from the departments, facing torture from the lawful authorities. Now, exactly, your question is almost similar to what your friend said. Now, yes, I am angry, I am upset. Now, what if I take it in my own hands? What if I do all those things? After which, I have to fear perpetrators. I have to fear the perpetrators because the ones who have the heart to commit such crimes are obviously those who are very, very influential. So, after which they will target you. So, are you willing to sacrifice sacrifice your entire school life. So this is where these authorities, committees are set up to take it upon themselves to ensure that such crimes are prevented rather than take prompt action once it happens.
To say that everybody who indulges in ragging is a son or cousin or son-in-law of a politician, let us not. Let us not.
No, I am not generalized, but I said more or less. More or less, yes, it is.
No, quite a few of those who indulge in ragging are influential, but not everybody.
Yes,
like the police saying, whenever the case fails, a political interference. I can say it for certain. About 10% of the cases which the police handle, there is a political hand. What about the rest of the 90% of the case? Here also ragging also.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, my question is to Dr. Raghavan. The tendency of domination is in everybody's mind.
Yes.
The tendency of domination dominates the minds of the students. How about that actually passed on to the next generation or the freshers actually, that they, whenever they get the turn, they just talk all this, they do the same thing like that. But how about just engaging NGOs inside college? That would definitely prevent and also.
There are quite a few NGOs in this field. They have done quite a lot of work. But then there's always a lot of controversy about NGOs and some NGOs coming into. No, the law does not bar NGOs from being associated with anti-ragging work. It is left to each college.
See, I think the management has to be more responsible. They just wash their hands off, you know. They have to be more interactive with the parents, with other NGOs.
So most of the time there is problems just outside the college gate, and the college does not want to take responsibility for that.
Yes.
Now who is to blame for that?
No, there also, here it includes, this is where I say the report is just unbelievable on paper. You should see the report because it takes not only incidents which happen in the college campus, but even incidents outside college campus, action can be taken. And most of these ragging incidents are Indian Penal Code offences. Yeah. They are Indian Penal Code offences.
Yes, 341 is wrongful restraint, there's wrongful confinement.
Everything there. No, that is why when somebody demands, we want a special enactment. There are some states which
if a senior in a hostel summons a bunch of juniors to his hostel room and keeps them there, so that is wrongful confinement.
Absolutely.
That's an IPC offense.
Wrongful confinement. Initiate criminal proceedings against him, but you take the wheel of ragging, so ragging as such is not an offense, then what happens?
Yes.
Even if we book a case on a student who is doing ragging, do you think the government is taking the correct action? They just say there's no evidence and blah blah, and then they just take them out, right?
You draw a distinction between government and the police. If you're going to the police and then you give a credible complaint, detail all facts, I think.
But still, like as how my friend said, they had a proof on that the student in Ahmedabad, but they just asked them to pay a 10,000 fine and let it out. Don't you think that the student will again do the same action to another student?
Naturally.
So you mean that you keep on doing this and you keep on paying a fine?
I think her question is more addressed as, does the committee have the powers to suo moto take action on a particular complaint?
The committee has no power.
When we have no proof, how can we blame the person, or when we can't take any action? So there will be many cases like that. So how do you go about them?
This is where your peer pressure would come in. You have friends. How many of you think ragging is fun here in this audience? Can I ask you?
Yeah, show of hands.
Can I ask you, how many of you think it's fun?
None
of you think it's fun.
Not a single person in this audience believes that ragging is fun.
This is downright hypocrisy. Nobody raises his hand.
There's one more thing, like once you are ragged, it's not only the seniors who are having fun, it's also the juniors. When they ask, oh, you're a fresher, you would have been ragged, how was it? And like, yeah, it was cool, I had nice time.
So you
how's that?
You accept ragging is cool.
You are becoming part of the process itself. You are endorsing ragging.
You're becoming part
and
of the
when
problem
you become seniors, you do it more worse.
Absolutely. That
So
is where the
that's not
problem is.
happening. You
If
should
all of
stop
you
that.
believe that ragging is bad, none of you think it's cool, none of you think it's fun, why don't you tell your friends? How many of you know people who've been ragged?
Or is it a case, quite simply as Dr. Raghavan put it, a case of hypocrisy here?
Yeah.
Now, answering your question, your first initial question, you can. What you need to do is go and give evidence. You have to say, yes, I saw it. And they will cross-question you, blah, blah, but you have to stand still.
In a country where there's no witness protection program.
There is no witness. I mean, it's a tough job, but if you want to do something, you can.
Yeah, yes, Lily.
So is your committee doing something about the victim who's been ragged? Because there are many deaths happening every year because of ragging.
It's not the committee's role. Committee brings it to the notice of the UGC, state governments, through the HRD ministry.
Yeah, but they have to do something about it because there are many students committing suicide.
I understand. They are doing it. In some cases, they are not doing it. This is not the ideal situation. There are some flaws in the situation.
Sir, as you said, certain wardens who are professors.
This gives the impression all questions directed at me, I am being ragged. Absolutely, I know.
So you said certain wardens who are professors, after the hectic schedule, it's difficult to monitor ragging as well. Shouldn't there be more than one person appointed? I mean, that's why they're paid for, right?
That's
full-time wardens.
That's what we have said, full-time wardens, a trained cadre of wardens. That's what we have suggested, but not many state governments, not many colleges have accepted it. But we still keep plugging for it. We should have, unless we have full-time wardens trained to do their duties. We had even suggested some ex-servicemen. See, they maintain some discipline. Ultimately, what we need is some discipline in hostels. Discipline in the sense that such kind of, basically all of us are agreed that ragging is undesirable.
Sir, it's just a general question. There are certain cases of ragging wherein they tell the juniors, either one, they blackmail the juniors not to go and speak to it about the, to the colleges, institutes or whatever. And the second is the juniors are so embarrassed about the fact that they're ragged and the issue doesn't come up at all. So how do you tackle such situations? How do you find out who's ragged and what is happening in the college?
In fact, the embarrassment is what causes suicides later. Either women or boys, even boys, are humiliated beyond measure. There was this one boy, Vikas, who after the Aman Kachru case wrote on an online forum, and he said he was so harassed and humiliated at college, he quit. He quit midway, and he was a very good student in school. He said, I wish God gave me one opportunity and I'll burn this college down to ashes. This is the kind of, the harassment that we are talking about. There's a lot of humiliation in that. Which is where perhaps if the colleges can set up counseling centers, support groups, peer support groups within the...
Is that a priority at all, ma'am, for colleges?
Also anonymous search groups. There are anonymous search groups to go to these freshers and get information.
Ma'am, is that a priority? Is ragging a priority for colleges? Be honest. Or is just marks? You want to show so many people passed out, so many people have got placed in the best companies. Placement may be a priority. Is ragging a priority, ma'am, for you?
Yes, at least at MOP, we do have a counseling center called Approach, where students can approach.
Is it a priority for you? So you're smiling.
Any problem.
Everywhere.
Ragging is a priority for you.
No, it is mandated to have a counselor. It is mandated to have a.
But when your boxes, when your so-called black boxes are empty, and you know that ragging is happening, there is some disconnect somewhere.
We are concerned about the campus, every campus only. The every college campus, they will be having a separate. So other college will not be putting the complaints over here.
They're running commercial institutions. I'm sure they're not going to say that there is ragging complaints happening.
The counselor will either be underemployed or unemployed.
No, isn't it? No, they do the counseling to the students.
Students being very friendly with the counselors. And the counselor has this relationship like lawyer to client, doctor to patient, of not revealing anything which happens, and the issues have got sorted out. Be it ragging or anything related to the problem.
That's a problem. Can you sort out ragging, ma'am, or can you take action on ragging?
When you say sort out, it has per se talking about ragging alone, though this debate is on ragging. Any counseling issue for that matter, they are more communicative.
This is the time for an honest, candid admission or denial by anybody here who has indulged in ragging or is not indulged.
How many of you, let's be honest here on the show, this show, as
I will not take cognizance as a
he will not take cognizance. Show of hands, how many of you sitting in this audience have indulged in ragging in any form?
Be honest.
How many of you? One. Okay, there's one person. One person who dares to
I must compliment you on your honesty.
Okay, can we pass the mic to him, please?
What kind of ragging did you
what kind of ragging and why did you rag someone?
Sir, I would, okay, in this case I would call it ragging. Any other case I would not call, I would not say, I would not term it as ragging.
What did you do?
So it was an introductory session.
Okay.
And all that we did was, now we asked a question. Say, I ask you what your name is. You say Sanjay Pinto. You say Sanjay Pinto, sir, and I ask you the next question. Now, if your answer is long and you forget sir after every sentence, I make you say it from the start. That is all.
So it's like a jigsaw puzzle or block and tackle.
So logical reasoning will improve.
I would call that ragging. I would call that ragging. I asked you to strip and run. That is not ragging. That is mental assault.
Mercifully, you have not done that. You have not asked somebody to strip and run.
I think you're a vegetarian raggist.
Sir, that is the only thing I would call ragging, sir. I would not call any other thing ragging because that any other thing would be mental assault.
Okay, why should somebody call you sir? Why should somebody call you sir? Who gives you the authority to make people call you sir?
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool too.
But sir,
if you addressed him as sir, he will come back with an answer.
but I am in no way assaulting you mentally or physically.
I might be extra sensitive and I may not like calling anyone sir.
Sir, I haven't met anyone.
When you go leave the portals of a school and go to a college, I'd like to ask you, and I salute you for actually being bold enough to admit that you indulged in whatever it's called, ragging or banter or whatever. there is that amount of transition that has to take place. Students are scared when they enter colleges. Why are you making their life difficult? If you want to get to know him, why can't you invite him to the canteen and get to know him over a coffee?
That is where exactly I spoke to him.
You took him to the canteen
Not to the canteen.
You took him to the canteen and said, call me sir, and you gave him coffee.
Sir, I took a step forward, sir. I went with him to a coffee shop.
Okay, after the ragging?
No.
While they were ragging?
Yeah.
Who paid for it?
Well, the interaction. The seniors paid for it, sir.
The seniors paid for it. That
Five of us, and 5 of them, we paid for it.
But then what he did was not ragging. It was cool.
Is there a doctor? Is there a doctor here?
Nitesh, that is what you should be calling ragging. Only that, and nothing but it.
So ragging is cool.
Precisely. Perfect.
What you did was cool.
What I did was ragging. That's all.
So where do you
Yeah,
draw
what
the line?
his-
If you
his-
call
his-
that-
his- I understand. His line of justification is what he does is ragging. Anything else which exceeds that is a criminal offense.
Sir, if I said to my friend, "Chal rag karte hain," he would come along with me. But if I said, "Chal, let's do a murder," no one will come along. Why
True,
should I tell
true.
my
But
friends?
here
Why
we
should I
have-
tell my friends not to rag? Why do I?
No, we have a
Is
we
it-
have
No.
we have a very
He
very basic issue here. When does good ragging become bad ragging?
How-
When do you
yes.
spill off? And how do you know that every member of the team that you're ragging has the same threshold? Thinks that calling you sir
Let's say
is
a person
okay.
who comes from a rural
Maybe
background, who's not really used to the city slickers and probably not even used to
Speaking in
drinking
English.
coffee from a cup and saucer, and then you make him call him sir, what goes through his mind? Have you spared a thought for that?
there may be people from rural areas who have problems with articulation, even speaking in English. It's a problem, genuine problem today.
He
may not like the college and run away.
No, but
He's regretting his
No, I
decision
think
to
the only thing which he
will-
did was
You will give up ragging from now on.
No, if I as a junior
No,
would
you
be
will give up
happy,
ragging.
improvement,
I am not. I'm
You will
not
stop
regretting
taking-
the
you'll stop
fact.
taking juniors out for coffee now.
I'm not. No, I will not, sir.
Okay.
I will not.
So
I am
don't
not
call me sir,
regretting.
you can call me
I am
Sanjay.
not regretting the fact that I admitted it.
I suppose you know that there's a helpline which has been established with the HRD.
How many of you know that there's a helpline?
The helpline
What is the number? What is the number of the helpline? How many of you know?
1800-108.
So we reviewed the.
So is this a failure of the system that none of them except the professor there know about the helpline?
That's what
None
we
of them know
reviewed
the
his
number of the
performance.
helpline.
It's just about taken off, and we spent a lot of time on it. I asked one of my op members to sit full time on it, and it's going to be
No,
further
comment
refined.
on the helpline. They say they'll act within 15 minutes. But then for me to get through itself, it takes 15 minutes.
That's
So
right.
by the time the entire thing
No,
is over.
we have done an audit. I think by the end of the year, this helpline, in this tragic incident, Aman Kachru, the boy, when he mentioned to his father over the telephone, saying that it's being ragged, the father's first reaction, I will come to your place, take you away. But he said, don't do that, because I'll be worse off if you came here and made a noise. So the son silenced the father. Ultimately, we had this tragedy. So again, these are lessons which have to be learned.
After so many deaths in the country, why hasn't there been any extreme punishment for one person who's been a penetrator of ragging?
Actually, is there any other provisions for us, for the victims, to report to you directly or to the government? Because we can take actions more faster. If we go to a police station, it will hardly take 20 to 30 days for them to take action back.
I can tell you, occasionally I have received complaints directly. I've rang up the Superintendent of Police or the IG of Police, but that's not the procedure.
The parents should take a necessary measure. They should educate their children
Absolutely.
that ragging should be avoided.
All
And
right,
they
last
should
question from you, ma'am. Yeah.
The educational institution is not responsible for ragging taking place outside the college, then who will take the initiative to stop such incidences?
And nothing
Like
prevents
even
you-
in college buses,
If
transport.
the management refuses, nothing prevents you from going to the police and saying this is what happened, and as long as it's a cognizable offense.
All right, it's time now for the jury to actually pronounce the verdict. We have a show of hands. How many of you in this audience after this debate believe that ragging is being swept under the carpet? How many of you? Show of hands. Would you like to announce the results, sir? It doesn't require much of mathematics there.
Majority are there, but as far as my observation goes, but the committee has done the maximum steps that should be done by each of the colleges.
Perhaps the committee should be given more teeth. I mean, Dr.
Exactly.
Raghavan
They
has
have
come up
done
with great recommendations.
They have done a very
but,
wonderful job, and it has been communicated to all the institutions.
Thank you very much, sir, for pronouncing the verdict, and for all of you also for participating in this. That's all the time we have for, but I'd like to end by quoting Professor Raj Kachru, Aman Kachru's father, who said, everybody wakes up whenever tragedy occurs. Everybody bays for blood. Everybody wants action taken against the perpetrators and the perpetrators punished. Everybody believes that is justice, but that is not real justice. Real justice, according to me, and Professor Kachru says this, is in ensuring that there is monitoring and prevention of ragging in our cases. Perhaps he was right, because real justice lies in protecting the potential Amans and the Pon Navarasus, the Azad Amirs, and of course recently the Akal Devs as well. But thank you very much for joining us on SL Chennai Speaks Out. To all the panelists and the audience, you can mail us, you can send us your feedback at ndtv-hindu.com. We'll be back with you at the same time next week.